Hello and welcome to the Philippines. It's more fun in the Philippines, is what we often hear, but that's not the only reason you might want to move here. So I'm going to discuss a little bit about should you move to the Philippines. Try to give you some objective and subjective reasons that you might consider the Philippines. Now, a few years ago, I was pretty sure I was going to go to Thailand. And after additional research, I came to the conclusion that the Philippines fit my personality, fit my needs better than Thailand did, or Panama, or Ecuador, or many other places. I do encourage you to visit the Philippines or any other country you're considering moving to, retiring to, working in. Uh, kind of do a self-analysis and look at your talents, your abilities, your personality, your dreams, financial ability, your health, mental health, as well as physical health. Take all those things in consideration. Do you need uh, a lot of friends who speak English? Well, you may move to a part of a country where there are fewer English speaking people, fewer people from the background, expats from the background that you're coming from, and that may be uncomfortable. I recently watched a video of a person who had visited many Southeast Asian countries over the course of a couple of years, and they stated they didn't like the Philippines on their first visit. Uh, but upon thinking about it, as they were involved in their second visit, they come to understand that it wasn't the Philippines, it was the circumstances, the other person that they were traveling with, and the mood that they were in, partly because of that situation. Uh, so, anyway, take all those things into consideration. Think about your dreams in a practical way, and whether moving to another country, another part of a different nation, where you presently live would make you happier. If you've got a lot of problems and you bring those with you wherever you go, just moving to another nation isn't probably going to solve those problems. Cost of living is a major concern to many people moving anywhere, especially overseas, and especially to retirees on a pension. I've been here close to 2.5 years now, and I budget about 1,200 US dollars per month. Now, many months closer to 850, 950. But I understand I still have a couple expenses back in the USA, and I also budget in trips every few years back to the USA, and that adds another $100 to $200 per month into my budget. I budget in medical expenses that I might go 6 months to a year without having any major medical expenses, but eventually I'm going to have some medical expenses, so I budget that into my program, so I'm not surprised later. I know people who think it's difficult to live on less than 2,000 or even more than that. It comes down to your lifestyle. What will make you happy? What can you afford? You can live outside of town for a lot less rent than you can in the city, like Cebu City or many parts of Manila area, rent-wise. But then you'll have additional expenses when you need to come into immigration, when you need to come in to see the bigger hospitals and that type of thing. So take those things into account. Basically, you can live relatively cheaply here in the Philippines. My food budget of just under 300 US dollars a month could probably be less than half of that, but I eat a lot of imported foods, and that drives my costs up considerably. Just out of curiosity, I did some research to try to find out how many expats from the USA lived in the Philippines, and nobody apparently is keeping very good records at all. And I've seen some broad numbers here. Anyway, Mexico has the most number of American expats from the USA, 3/4 of a million to 1 million. And that includes retired people, dual citizens, and then people in business there. Canada seemed to be number 2 on the list, 316,000 to 1 million. The Philippines came in number 3 for expats, American citizens living in the Philippines. 220,000 to 600,000 was one figure I saw, and I saw another figure that they thought it was closer to a million. Um, Thailand, for instance, another destination for many American expats, has from the USA has about 30,000 people living there, and from the UK probably about 55,000 living in Thailand, and the Japanese is the number 1 people who move to and work and live in Thailand at about 60,000 people. So there is a large expat community here. Now, some of those people are military, of course. Some of those are married to Filipinos and have a family here or live here or go back and forth on tourist visas. I've met many of those as well. But there is a large expat community if you want to track them down, if you want to have English-speaking friends here that have come from the Western nations. Several months ago, some group come out with a big report, and the Philippine people were rated the 3rd happiest group of people on the face of the earth. And all these types of surveys are pretty subjective, but I think my opinion, just being here, they are some of the friendliest people, the happiest people, number 1, and add to that the friendliest people. Now that will vary as you travel different parts of the Philippines, just like any other country. But my experience has been that there are days when your day isn't going quite so well, but the people are so happy and friendly and helpful that it makes up for some of the bad experiences that you're going to experience here or any place in the world. And that is a major reason why I continue to stay here. If I didn't like it, if the people were sour, if they were not friendly, I would find another place to go travel and check out. Uh, and I'm sure many of you have found in your life, in your experiences, that a smile goes a long way. A happy greeting versus a frown when you meet somebody and interact with them anywhere you're at in the world. And it definitely does here that you get the same response back 99% of the time. A lot of that happiness comes from the fact that the culture here, the Filipino culture, is very family oriented. That and the cost of living is very reasonable. There's a group called InterNation. It's a huge group that I believe the largest group that represents expats around the world. They do lots of have a number of services as well as do lots of surveys. And they did a large survey, over 14,000 expats from 174 different countries, home countries, and living in 191 foreign countries. They asked those people to rate the countries that they're living in on 43 different aspects and rate them from 1 to 7. And the Philippines came in number 4 on that survey, and the biggest thing was family attitude and cost of living. And just for your information, Costa Rica came in number 1, but unless you speak Spanish, it's going to be tough to get around Costa Rica. Malta came in number 2, primarily with all the Europeans that go there. The language is similar to, they can communicate with the Maltese. The language and the weather and the fact that 70% of the people from Malta were in some type of relationship. whereas the average across the world is about 63% of expats in relationships in the countries that they live in. Mexico came in number 3. Mexico, as many of you know, have their different issues. Uh, so it really depends on what part of Mexico you live in. Then it was the Philippines. Number 5 was Ecuador, but I researched that. I don't want to live in. I would like to visit South America, but I don't think I want to live there. New Zealand was 6. There again, just like Australia, for many of the you English speaking folks, trying to understand somebody from Australia or New Zealand, just got to give you a bad time there, uh, fellas. Don't take it personally. And then Thailand came in number 7, Vietnam number 8, primarily because of the cost of living. Panama was number 9, Spain number 10. The Philippines offers a multitude of lifestyle choices. Depending upon your budget and your time, you can spend time on the beaches, on the high-end resorts, high-end condos, housing developments. You can spend your time cruising and touring the many, many islands. You can spend your time in the mountains, hiking and climbing. Uh, they've got hundreds and hundreds of waterfalls, some that offer trekking opportunities. You can rent motorbikes on many islands and go off into the roads and into the various provinces and visit those areas. You can get on. There's many, many different types of tours you can get on to see the different areas, as well as skin diving, scuba diving, snorkeling, swimming, and some of the magnificent uh, sights you see under the water as well. There's golf courses, there's entertainment, there are clubs and theaters and that type of thing. So you have a wide range of activities you can search out if whatever you're looking for here. Unless you want to ski and snow in the mountains. We have mountains, but we don't have snow yet. Maybe in a few years they will put up some artificial ski resorts. Safety is always a concern when you're visiting, touring, or moving to another nation, obviously. Just about anybody you talk to in the Philippines who's been here, lived here, will tell you that generally they feel pretty safe here. There are pickpockets here, but none of the Philippine cities make the top 10 in the world. Most of those are actually in Europe, I believe, for pickpockets. I've had a couple of phones stolen. I'm not taking all the blame, but part of it was because I wasn't careful. And so you need to look out for that. Most of the more serious crime is because of different grudges that people have, political paybacks, that type of thing. Occasionally, you read about a foreigner getting hurt or killed over here, but that's really quite rare. Many of the hotels will supply you with a safe and obviously recommend that you put your valuables in the safe. If there's not a safe, ask them if they have a safe at the desk where you can secure them when you're out of your room. I've heard a couple of stories of people leaving camera equipment in their room unsecured, and certain areas that it wasn't there when they returned. That could happen anywhere in the world. Just you need to try to protect your valuables as much as possible. I walk a lot in Cebu City, second largest city in the Philippines, and been here doing that for almost 2.5 years, and I have not had any issues. I've had a lot of people, in fact, come up to me and ask me if I'm lost because some of the areas I've been in. One guy once even insisted on walking with me out of an area. He said it wasn't safe for me. I didn't feel that it wasn't safe, but I'm sure he knew much better than I do about that particular area. So they're very, very friendly, very helpful. It's been my experience. Medical and dental costs in the Philippines are much, much lower than in the USA. And they've got some major hospitals. A lot of them are in the Manila area. Cebu City has several very good hospitals. And they just had a new one open up, a Maya Medical Center, which I did a video about, that caters to expats as well. A lot of the modern equipment in there. Here's some samples of hospital room rates at one of the hospitals. I think it was Chunghwa. I pulled off line here quite a while ago, so those prices are subject to change. But to get the rate that would be in your current currency, like from the USA, you'd take these numbers, divide by about 50. And I think 51, 52 is the current rate, but divide by 50 or 51, and we'll give you the rate in US dollars. Much lower than what you find there. My understanding is that Medicare will cover emergency rooms here in the Philippines overseas. There is a medical health insurance called PhilHealth here that many of us have, as well as our Medicare. So those are a few of the reasons you might want to visit, tour, even move and retire to the Philippines. Um, they are very accommodating. It's easy to get to visas here. Some countries like Thailand, Vietnam, you've got to make border runs every like 3 months, 90 days. I think you got to leave the country and then come back into the country, get your visa stamped anew. The Philippines makes it very easy and relatively inexpensive to stay here long term. I think I can stay here on a tourist visa for 3 years by renewing it every 2 to 6 months. And then I have to leave the country. And at that point in time, before February of next year, I will leave. I will probably go for a week or 2 or 3 someplace and just see another country. But it comes down to you. The people here are very accepting of Westerners and people from other nations. They appreciate the fact that you're coming in and helping the economy. As long as you obey their laws, understand that you are in a foreign country. You don't want to be doing stupid things, getting in trouble. Um, anyway, thank you for coming along. Please like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Safe travels to you all wherever you're at. And just understand that it's always good to visit a country before you actually throw all your money and sell everything at home and make that big commitment. Visit once or twice. And there's many different options in the country too. It's a very long country, many different islands, different opportunities, different adventures to take. So anyway, thank you, and we'll see you next time.